let's jump over into reporting. Okay, so we've added our progress notes, and we've done the day-to-day, and let's just jump over to reporting and see what this looks like. So there are two real important reports here that I think that we must cover, but then again, there are a number of other options that you can look at, but let's just make sure we go over these first ones. First off, just want to make sure your staff's entering information in the system, right? So this is a staff data entry report. It simply just lists the information that's been added. So if you, for instance, if I go down here and I go maybe to medications, you can see, all right, manager demo, they've added medications here. You can see Kathy has also added medications recently, but you can see your other staff haven't really been doing much, so you can simply let me just go and talk to my staff because they haven't been entering information into the system. All right, so that's a very simple, straightforward one. Now the ISP, but you can define what the name of this report is, but really it's not an ISP. It is a custom report that you can basically build any report from in our system. So let's go ahead and choose John Doe. And let's just make sure we have enough information. So I'll go back to the beginning of the year, and let's say January 1st, and we click go. Now we want to name this report. Let's just say John Doe 2019, right? Now the resident summary, this is the information that you've typed up about John, but you can also change this real time here. Let's just say 2019 John Doe, and you also have the option of displaying all of the items that you want on the report. Now let's instead say this was just a goal report. You can just say, okay, we'll just say 2019 goals, and then what we would do is simply uncheck all of these, and maybe we want to show the resident's picture, and maybe we want to see the goal information for John. All right, but for now, because we want to just show you what all the options are, let's first pull everything up. All right, so let's just make it all 2019, and then the first thing what we want to do is let's preview this. Let's take a look at this. So let's click print preview. All right, and it's pulling all this information up for John since the beginning of the year. We said let's display John's picture, so we see John's picture, we see the company logo, your company logo, you see all the basic information about John, you see the information that you've written up, so this is a free form and you can write this up. You see John's goals, you see, okay, the goals were met. You see, for instance, here, John will use appropriate words in a calm manner. He's done pretty good at that. You can see what he's met, partially met, and not met. You can also see the percentages from each of these goals. You can see here, this goal was met 71% of the time, the total count. John will use appropriate words. You can see his overall goals, how he's tracking with that. You can see each of his goals and how he's doing. You can see additional information here. If we've decided to track the behaviors, you can see he's having a problem with AWOLing, 85 times since the beginning of the year. You can see all the other behaviors as well, and you can see the details of each of those behaviors. All right, you can see now we go into the actual the behavior graphs. You can see it looks like maybe the alcohol cravings are increasing over time. AWOL we see is a big problem. We see big spikes during the year as well. But you can see what's happening with each of these behaviors and the counts as well. Okay. Now we go into the interventions. So if we scroll down here to this interventions, this behavior is called AWOL, right? So and we see this interventions went for a walk, and we see that this has been successful 48 times and only unsuccessful once. So, when John, we know that in the morning, let's get him out for his walk first thing, and then we don't have a problem the rest of the day. He, pretty much will stay and will do what he's supposed to do. All right, again, this is just an example. This could be used in a number of different ways, but this is just a way that agencies can track the interventions, the behaviors, the interventions, and also if they're successful or unsuccessful. Tasks that are used. So for instance, we know that John is supposed to comb his own hair, and he's done that with no assistance 57 times and only partial assistance 4 times. So he's doing pretty, John's doing well with that. As far as developing realistic goals, we see that he still requires full assistance quite a bit. So he's still struggling there, as well as with his making local calls. He still needs verbal prompting in order to get that accomplished. You can see a list of all the doctors as well as the visits for Dr. Joe. You can see all of the doctors as well, and see the different dates and also the visit notes, the medications that has been given to your client. You can see, if you've decided to track allergies, calendar information, whatever it is you've decided to track, you can see all of that on it as well. Activity log, if you've decided to put that on this report, you can do it. Again, now all of these are optional on the report. You can choose what you want on the report. So again, if I went back and I said, you know what, I like this report, this is perfect, but I really don't want to see the bowel movement or something else, you can just uncheck it. Now, once you're done with this report, you can say, all right, I know this is good, I want to save this report. So now I have a permanent report for John from the beginning of the year up until now with all of the different elements that I want on the report, okay? So now we've saved this report, and let's just go to the report. You can see here a list of all of the reports that have been created for John. You can see all the approved reports. We just created this John Doe 2019. You can see all this information has been there for John. You can see all the reports that have been created. You can delete them. You can create copies of them. So now there are other reports that I can run through. For instance, the service log billing report. This is an important one. If you're tracking this information, our service log allows you to generate reports that you can use for your billing. You can also download and export this directly into like QuickBooks or your other billing software. So let's just say here we want to go back maybe to the beginning of the year. Let's see if we have some information. Now I did just change this agency to use the advanced billing, so I'm not sure if I'll have some information, but let's just go ahead and take a look. And instead we'll say uncheck put each resident on the same page so we can see all of them together. So if we were tracking the service code, that information would display here. And let's just smooth that. If you were tracking authorization information, that would display on this report as well. You can see the start time, the end time, the total hours. So that information would display. Now, again, I changed this, but if I change the agency back to we're only going to track service code and we're not going to track the authorization codes like we did in the past, let's just go ahead and switch back to that and save it. Now, if I go back to this report, you'll see the service code information because we're not tracking the authorization code. And the reason it didn't show that is because it was expecting us to have the authorization code. So again, we'll go back maybe again to the beginning of the year. And now that we're only tracking the service code, I can say, all right, let's see the information that I have here from the beginning of the year. And you can see all this information filled in. If we were tracking authorization code and we had that information filled in, it would also display it. It would also include, it would show units remaining as well, which is an important piece if you're tracking on the authorization module. All right, so now we've had that. Also, you can save these reports. You can name the report and save them here. Maybe some agencies, what they do is they have their staff go ahead and complete these reports, and then they save it, and then the manager then logs in and reviews these reports and make sure that they're good, and then they download the information that they need. Again, you do have the option of exporting this as well into your billing software. All right, so let's see if there are any other reports here. We do have a pill count report where you can see information that's been, the pills that have been used. You can see a daily expense ledger where you can see the receipts and everything related to that. Again, I won't go into all the details of that, but if you want additional information, please just set up a time, go to our website, you can just click contact us and we can answer additional questions, or you can actually set up a demo to go over a more detailed demo and answer additional questions as well. All right, so that's report.